Hello, Namaste, welcome back to the channel. My name is Prashant Kumbar and I'm a second year MBBS student. Today's topic will be based on thoracic vertebrae and let me tell you, I'm recording this video for the second time. Yes, because when I was recording it earlier due to some network issues, it could not get saved in my gallery. So this is already what I thought during recording it while recording it earlier, so I'll be just explaining these things. Even our time will also be saved. Okay, so there are 12 thoracic vertebrae, and here in the superior view I was saying about the parts. You know about the parts, and there are many common, like same as that of cervical vertebrae: body, vertebral foramen, transverse process, spinous process. These are superior articular process with facets. Pedicle. Inferior is not visible from superior view. We have to go to the another pic. And here, what things are got added up and what things are not there. This is the transverse process, and on transverse process there is no foramen. On transverse process there is no foramen, but on transverse process you can see a surface costal fovea of transverse process, and this is for the attachment of tubercles, of rib. Okay, this is on transverse process. So costal fovea on transverse process or of transverse process. And this is the body on its sides also has costal fovea, that is which articulates with head of rib. Okay, this is superior costal fovea, and the one which is at the inferior costal fovea. So attachment of head and tubercle of ribs on thoracic vertebrae takes place at costal fovea, and where these costal fovea are located, depending on them the names changes, like costal fovea of transverse process, superior costal fovea, and inferior costal fovea. Now inferior view. Inferior view, again it's the body. This is the vertebral foramen, spinous process, superior articular process. These two are inferior articular process with facets. How they are? They are fused with lamina. And here is the vertebral arch. This is the transverse process. You can even see the costal fovea of transverse process. And one more thing, how to identify thoracic vertebrae. First thing, they don't have transverse foramen. And body, it is arch shaped. You can see here how it is arch shaped. Why? Because it is near heart. Heart is in thoracic area. These are thoracic vertebrae. Okay, just go on with the body, and if you are confusing, go with the transverse processes. There are no foramens than this. Spinous processes are a little shorter than that of cervical. These are not that long, but if you divide them, see in a cross-sectional view, it will be like a triangular. Okay, then some points I was saying about some points, like these costal foveas which are on the sides are for head of the rib, and which are on transverse process articulates with tubercle of rib. Okay, and 11th and 12th thoracic vertebrae does not as costal fovea on transverse process. About this we will discuss later in this video during variations in thoracic vertebrae. And lamina, how it is imbricated. What do you mean by imbricated? In 11th biology you might have studied morphology of flowers, that is one on the other, right? It was like this, one on the other. Similarly, lamina will be one on the other. This part, lamina, of each thoracic vertebrae. Then, how is the spinous process? It overlaps. Where to where? Fifth thoracic vertebrae to eighth thoracic vertebrae. The overlapping of spinous process can be seen more prominent. Okay? Then, superior articular processes. These projects out. This is the pedicle, this is the laminar region, and from these two junctions, superior articular process projects upwards. Okay, superior articular process projects upwards from junction of pedicle and lamina. What about inferior articular process? I have said you that it is fused with lamina. Okay, next, here these are peculiarities, sort of variations of thoracic vertebrae. So, from first thoracic vertebrae to eighth thoracic vertebrae, you can see common general features like it will have costal fovea of transverse process. It will have superior, only first thoracic vertebrae will have superior costal fovea as circular from these 8 thoracic vertebrae. Okay, and it will have inferior fovea. It is off. What does that mean? The second thoracic vertebrae, its superior costal fovea is semicircular, and it will also have inferior costal fovea. Okay, so here comes first rib, its head sits here. The second rib, it sits here. Understood? This is the first rib. This is tubercle of the rib. This is head of the rib. Okay. Then second comes, it sits here along with second thoracic vertebrae. That means the fovea for head of the rib will be shared by 2 vertebrae. Done? Okay. So there are variations among which what thoracic vertebrae has variations. First, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. These 5 thoracic vertebrae will have some sort of variations. What are they? First thoracic vertebrae will have a deeper upper vertebral notch than any other, that of thoracic. You can see here the vertebral notch, superior vertebral notch, it is deeper than any other. You can see this is transverse. You can see here this has much deeper upper vertebral notch than any other thoracic vertebral notches. Okay, that's the variation of first thoracic vertebrae. Then what is the variation of 9th thoracic vertebrae? You can see here 9th thoracic vertebrae does not have inferior costal fovea. It has only superior costal fovea. It also has fovea of transverse process. So 9th thoracic vertebrae does not have inferior costal fovea, but sometimes it can have semicircular. What do you mean by semicircular? It means the fovea is shared among 9th and the next succeeding 10th. Okay, so usually no inferior costal fovea in 9th thoracic vertebrae, as you can see in this diagram. Then what about 10th thoracic vertebrae? You can see only superior costal fovea. Usually it has superior costal fovea and which is complete. Okay, 10th thoracic vertebrae has complete costal fovea for 10th rib, so that it can articulate with the head of 10th rib. But sometimes what happens when the 9th thoracic vertebrae will have inferior costal fovea, it will be of semicircular shape. So along with that will get shared with 10th thoracic vertebrae. what does this means? This means when 9th thoracic vertebrae does not has inferior costal fovea, 10th thoracic vertebra will have complete superior costal fovea. When 9th thoracic vertebrae has a semicircular costal fovea, 10th thoracic vertebrae will have a semicircular superior costal fovea. Clear? Okay. Now, rest two vertebrae. 11th vertebrae, what is the variation? You can see here the transverse process of 11th and 12th both. You can see there are no fovea. There are no costal fovea on transverse process of 11th and 12th vertebrae. Main. Then only about 11th now. 11th thoracic vertebra, it is not having costal fovea on transverse process. Done. And you can see it has a complete costal fovea, superior costal fovea. Okay, it does not have costal fovea on transverse process, it has complete superior costal fovea. And you can see this spinous process, it is almost horizontal. It is almost horizontal. One more thing you can notice, the superior costal fovea is much more towards pedicle than other thoracic vertebrae, than the other costal fovea of thoracic vertebrae. So fovea for head of rib are more towards pedicle in case of 11th thoracic vertebrae. Done? Okay. I've even written this here in common that pedicles of 11th and 12th are thicker and stronger than other thoracic vertebrae. Okay. So last one, 12th thoracic vertebrae. What is the variation? No costal fovea on transverse process, right? Okay. Then you can see on this transverse process, the superior part, superior knob, and inferior part, inferior knob, gets modified, and superior part modifies into mammillary process. Inferior knob gets modified into accessory process. And such knobs, such elevations, such tubercle type formings can also be seen in 11th and 10th thoracic vertebrae, but they don't modify into mammillary and accessory processes as that of 12th. So 12th thoracic vertebrae, its transverse process again does not have costal fovea, but its superior and inferior knobs gets modified into mammillary and accessory processes. Here in note, sometimes similar elevations of transverse processes are seen in T10 and T11. Okay. So today's video was really short, and it was even because of my some sort of network issues. Because of that, I could not record. I could not save the original one which I have recorded it earlier, for which I have to record again. Instead of wasting time, I recorded on this same notes. So I've discussed about superior. What are the new points you learned? Superior costal fovea, inferior costal fovea, and costal fovea of transverse process. Then inferior view, you can see inferior articular processes and facets which are fused with lamina. Okay. Then fovea on sides for head, fovea on transverse process for tubercles. Spinous process overlaps, prominent on 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Okay. Superior, it projects from junctions of pedicles and lamina. Peculiarities. First thoracic vertebrae has upper vertebral notch deeper. 9th thoracic vertebrae does not has inferior costal fovea. 10th thoracic vertebrae has complete superior costal fovea for 10th rib. 11th thoracic vertebrae no costal fovea on transverse process, and superior costal fovea, it is more towards pedicle. 12 thoracic vertebra, its transverse process, its superior and inferior part of transverse process gets modified into mammillary and accessory processes respectively. Okay, that's all for thoracic vertebrae, and in the next video we will talk about lumbar vertebrae. And thank you for being with me in this video. Like it, share it, and yeah, stay tuned. Soon I'll make and upload lumbar vertebrae.